over the years, we've done a lot of trials with growers, but the way we've been doing them is the traditional researcher method, where we would choose a small area of the vineyard and do what we call a small plot replicated trial. Now these are great to find out what works in a vineyard, but what we've been doing is that we would go to a field day and we'd stand up and we'd talk about the results of our work. But I would know that as those growers left the meeting, they'd say, well, I've seen the results of your trial, but how do I make that work in my vineyard, or how does it relate to my vineyard? So we had to think about, well, this is how researchers do trials, and we know that growers are trying things all the time. You know, they do a lot of trial and error. So we tried to think of a method where we could bring those two worlds together. So we came up with a trial methodology, if you will, which was something that would fit really well within the existing operations of a vineyard. And we thought then, typically the researcher would set the question. So we said, well, what if we asked the growers to set their own question? Because we know that each vineyard, it might be the same problem, same disease management problem, but they all had slightly different questions about how to address the problem. So that's how we came about doing it, trying to come up with something that was very simple that they could implement, and that they could set the question, but also involve us to be guided through a process, and also to come up with, when they did get the result, that they were confident. They had confidence in what the answer was when they did the trial. Well, in this first year of the project, basically what we're trying to learn how it goes. So we're doing the process with the growers. We're finding out with them what works, what doesn't work, and how they interpret the results. So as we learn together, we can then modify and adapt the process so that we've got a whole approach now that we can quickly implement next season. And we also have producers now who've been through the process and are able to sort of tell others how they're going with it. And part of that work is bringing them all together to share the information that they've learned from the trials. And there's nothing like hearing the result of a trial from another producer, you know, as opposed from the researcher who might have done the work. Unlike a researcher-led trial, each producer's intimately involved in doing the trial, because they're there deciding what's going to be trialled. We're doing it together. We're looking at the vines together. They're using their own commercial equipment to do the trial, and then we're looking at the results together at the end.